and this one is a big one for me. It was the thing I was most afraid of. Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Donna and this is Some Bold Adventure. If you're new to the channel, I learned to ride a motorcycle last year at the age of 55. I'd never ridden one before, didn't know much about it other than it looked like fun, so I took the course and learned to ride, and that was my first season as a rider. This is now year 2, and today I'm going to talk about some of the things I can do as a second year rider that I could not do as a first year rider. The first thing I did here as a second year rider that I did not do last year was to get on the highway. You know, last year as I was learning, I had to work up to being able to do higher speeds, and I just wasn't comfortable with highway speeds at that point. I live in Michigan, and our winters are long, our riding season is short. I was worried I would not be comfortable when I got back on the bike after taking the winter off, that it would be like starting over. And I will say, for all of you who are first-time riders who worry about that, everybody told me it's just like riding a bike, you'll be fine, and they were right. It was no problem. I got on the bike like I'd been doing it for a long time, like I'd never stopped, and that very first ride I got on the highway and did highway speeds, no problem. Now, riding on the highway is not my favorite thing to do. I would much rather take the back roads, but it's nice to be comfortable to get up here and get somewhere quickly if I need to. My bike is not very big. It's a KTM 390, but it does highway speeds with no issues at all. The next thing that I was able to do as a second year rider, I did not do as a first year rider, was ride after dark. The first time I ended up riding after dark, I didn't do it on purpose. I wasn't going out to do a night ride. I went out to eat, and I went for a ride, I went to eat, and it ended up being really slow service, and it was dark by the time I left. So I had no choice except to ride home after dark. And it was fine. I live in Michigan. We have a lot of wildlife out here, and I really do not want to hit anything on my motorcycle. I did, however, keep in mind the wise words of my rider coach from the MSF course, who said, if you can cook it in a skillet, kill it. The idea being that if it's a small animal, don't hurt yourself trying to avoid it. You can just run it over. And of course, that's fine if that's a squirrel or a chipmunk. But if it's a deer, that's not, you know, something you could put in a skillet. And after dark, you get a lot of things like raccoons and possums. And then you're going to have to make the decision. Is that skillet size? What size skillet are we talking about? But anyway, I did not have to make any of those decisions. I saw no wildlife, and it was fine. I wouldn't maybe choose to ride after dark, though I am tonight just for this video. But it's good to know that if I need to, I can, and it's not really a problem as long as you go slow and pay a lot of attention. And the third thing I learned to do in my second year as a rider that I definitely did not do last year, and this one is a big one for me, it was the thing I was most afraid of, is to cross the drawbridge. So the drawbridge here is one of those with the grates, and I am scared of them. They push my car around, and I was really worried about how that would be on the bike, that I would get pushed around and I would get scared. It turned out to be no big deal. And the first time when I went to do it this year, I didn't intend to do it. I was just going for a ride, was going to go out and get something to eat, and I happened to be driving right by the ramp that goes up to it, and I went, there's not much traffic, what the heck, just do it. So I did, so I could get it over with, say I've done it, and it turned out to be no big deal. I was much more afraid of it than I needed to be. My bike handles it, I think, better than my car does. I don't know why that is, but I'll take it. It's fine. So I've been over it several times now. It doesn't really bother me anymore. So those are the three things I do now as a second year rider that I could not do my first year, or would not do my first year. And it turns out most of them were not a big deal. I am getting more comfortable as a rider, and that's true of anything. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get, the better you get. I didn't do as much riding as I might have liked to this year. I was training for a big hike, which ended up getting canceled. So I got out and rode when I could, but no big trips this year or anything. And now it's November and the season is almost over, which makes me quite sad. But I'm hoping to get out a lot more next year. Like I said, I've ended up being pretty comfortable riding, even after taking the winter off. So I would imagine next year will be the same. If you liked the video, be sure and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more adventures. Thanks for watching.